Hello, today I want to talk about how many strands to use and how many strands I use and why, depending on if you're doing cross stitch or just regular embroidery. And you will see it'll start make sense to you as I go through the process. So let's start with 6 threads, okay? We've got 6 threads here. And that's what comes on the standard DMC floss tube. Okay, so in cross stitch, I go opposite of everybody else. So I go top left to bottom right. So you can see here, most cross stitch, you're never going to use 6 strands unless your Aida cloth is like a 6 or 8, like really big squares, and these are the squares here. So if you're brand new to cross stitching, so if this is like, it's so many per inch, okay? So if it's the lower the number, the more it is, the bigger it is, rather, the bigger the squares are, because it's only 6 per inch versus if you had a 22, it'd be 22 of these in an inch. So I hope that makes sense. So in cross stitch, you're either asked to do 2 threads or 1 thread. Usually it's 2 threads for your crosses and then 1 thread to do all the back stitching or the outlining. And you usually do a back stitch. But here you can see by doing 6, and I'm using this on a colored background so you can really see the difference. By using 6, it starts getting very bulky, and this is why you wouldn't want to use it. Usually 6 threads would be for embroidery, chunky lettering, larger products, like I said, a lot larger squares, things like that. So it starts getting pretty bulky. Okay, let's do another one next to it so you can see what I mean. And I do not have my glasses on, so bear with me. I'm probably way out of the square here, but I'm just demonstrating as best as I can here without glasses. I don't even know where I put them. I clean and then I organize and then I can't find things. Okay, so let's do one more because I want you to see, compare and contrast, okay? To all the ones. And see, by doing it chunkier, you can't even see the holes anymore. So see how messy that looks and sloppy? It's just too many for cross stitch. Okay, so now let's cut that off and then let's try 2 threads. And I would go down to 3 and 4. They're almost basically all the same. Okay, so here we have 2 threads. So we will start this with 2 threads. And you can see. And this is what you will typically do. Now this is Aida cloth 14. So this is a 14 count cloth. And like I said, the count means how many of these little squares per square inch. Okay, so here's 2. And when I do my cross stitches, I always stitch on the top. Instead of going down, get my hand down here and up, and I just do it this way. I've been doing this for 50 years, so that has been my best way. Okay, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 4 each time. And as you can see, it's much neater, okay? It lays better than this chunkier one, Okay, so let's cut this off and let me show you what it looks like using one stitch. Trim that off because I'm just going to take these out. Okay, so for one, you'll see why now. Now, one is usually my favorite to stitch with, not cross stitch, but embroidery. And I'll show you the difference there pretty soon. But one here, most Aida cloth you're going to get is going to be a contrasting background. Most of them are white or something, and when you cross stitch, your threads are going to be colorful, so you'll be able to see it. But the problem with one thread, unless you're outlining, is you can see right through it. So if I was doing a cloud in this white, I would have a purple and white cloud. Or very predominant X's, and I wouldn't want that, okay? So here, boy, I need my glasses so bad. I'm literally doing this by feel. So you'll be able to see a difference and why you need to use the amount of threads that's recommended on your pattern, okay? Whether it's a pre-printed pattern or counted cross stitch. Okay, yeah, I missed the hole altogether there, but you can see the difference here. Okay, and see how you can really see in between. Here you can some, but when you get a whole bunch of them, you can barely see. Okay, and here you can't see at all, but it's very messy looking. Okay, so, and the reason why I wouldn't use 3 is because it's a waste of thread. You're not really going to see the difference. But between 1 strand and 2 strands, you can see a huge difference for some weird reason. Okay, so that's why when you outline, you only use 1 thread, and I'll show you why. Okay, let's try this again. So by outlining, it wouldn't make a difference because you're not making little crosses. You're just making a line, an outline. And that's why you use 1, because you don't want it to dominate your picture. You just want the outside look of it. And see, I got my thread too long there because I didn't have my glasses on at the time. But you get the picture. And I'm not doing a very neat job because I'm trying to cover up what I messed up for not having on my glasses. But I wanted you to get the idea here that outlining is not going to make a difference with 1 thread, but it would with 2. Because if I were to use two strands to outline on this small of a cross stitch, it would start taking over, and then you wouldn't be able to see the crosses at all. And let me show you what I mean. We'll go back here. We'll go back over the back stitch. So that'll be like 2 threads. Does that make sense? We have 1 thread, now we have 2 threads. And then it starts looking like a little dash marks. It just doesn't look as good. It doesn't look as clean. And that's why the pattern, when it calls for one thread, see now you're getting two, and this starts getting lost. Let me do a couple more so you can really see. And in embroidery, it's a whole different ball game. So hopefully I will catch those who love to cross stitch and those who love to embroider, and the difference and the reasons why we use the amount of threads that we use. Okay, I think you can get the picture here. I don't need to go around the whole thing. But see, now you just only see outline when you do that. It just looks messier. This is a cleaner look. This starts getting real chunky and busy. Okay, and then you wouldn't be able to see your pretty pattern. That's why you use one strand for outlining and two for the cross. But read your directions. Maybe if it's a lot larger square, they're going to ask for 3. Okay, I have never seen one, correct me if I'm wrong, write it in the comments if you have, where you use 4, 5, and 6 strands in cross stitch. Needle point maybe, but not in cross stitch. Okay, so now let's go to, let me cut this off, and let's go to embroidery, and you will see a difference in the embroidery. And there we go. So this time with embroidery, let's start with one strand, since I already have this on my needle here. Make a little temporary knot there. And let's start with one strand. Now, where I would use one strand is, say I was doing some branch work. Whoops, there we go. I was doing some branch work, okay? And then I would do little tiny, or any kind of delicate type work, I would use one strand. So say I want to do a little branch here. And yes, I know branches aren't white unless it's a birch tree or something. But we can pretend like this is a little birch tree branch. And then I want to go down here and connect it and have just like a little tiny, and sometimes I would even split the stitch. Okay, I'm using a blunt needle, so wish me luck on that. Usually I have a sharp needle to split the stitch. Here, let's go this other way. Maybe I can do it this way. Yeah, split it there. Okay, so then you start getting really tiny, delicate work. Or say you want to do some just little tiny dots in your fabric, or like a little tiny runny stitch. It's for the more delicate work. Okay, so let's do a branch in 2 strands. Let's see here. Let's park this needle here and cut this off. And let's do the 2 strands. Now, 9 times out of 10 in embroidery and cross stitch, you're going to use 2 strands, okay? I like doing the 1 strand when I do tiny, like I said, delicate work, okay? So we'll do this branch in 2 strands. And you'll see, so I guess larger pictures would make more sense and see if I split it, you'll really be able to see it. A larger picture or a larger pattern, you would do 2 strands, unless You want everything, if you're trying to do a realistic picture, so say you want your branches to look alive and like a more like a actual photograph, you would use one because there's more control, but you're going to spend a lot more time. Okay, so don't split this one. Let's just go in that same hole. So here you can clearly see, yes, it does show up more. Okay, so it's really a matter of preference. Like I said, if you have lots of little tiny branches you're doing in a tree, I would go with this. If you're just doing a basic tree, a real fast one, I would go with that one. It just really depends. So let's try the branch in 6 strands. And again, I don't use 6 strands unless I am doing like chain lettering, chunky chain lettering. And I do have a video in the chain lettering, so if you can go see that. I believe it's the video right before this. I could be wrong. Okay. So let's do a branch with this 6 strands. And I'm trying to do the same size. That one ended up a little larger, just so you can see the comparison. See, and it's just like here when I was showing you satin stitch the other day, chunky versus 2 strands. It really makes a difference. So the fewer strands, the less strands that you use, the more realistic and the more control you have in your piece. Okay, so let's see how this is starting to look cartoony. It's starting to look more like a cartoon. And you can really see, I mean, I can split the stitch, but you can really see the holes. And see, that's almost like a little cartoon. This is getting more realistic. And this is still pretty realistic, you know. So if I were just doing branches though, on this size, I would do this. If the branches were larger, I would use 2 strands. So I hope that makes sense, and you can really see the difference of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna move my needles out of the way. But you can see the difference of what I'm talking about in both cross stitch and embroidery, okay? You can really see the difference. So you see that 2 looks a lot better for cross stitch. This is why they usually recommend 2 strands. You can see the difference now. In embroidery, it's going to depend on what you're making. Okay, I've done videos with where I made real tiny, delicate baby's breath using 1 strand. And sometimes I'd use 2 strands. It just depends. So I guess the bigger branches, so if you were doing a tree, the larger branches, not the little tiny ones that feed off the large branch, you could do 2. And then the little tiny delicate ones, do 1. Okay, if you have any questions, put them in the comment box below, and I will be happy to do more of a detailed video, or maybe show you a picture or an example of what I've done in the next video or something. But just let me know if you have any questions about how many strands to use or what you would like to see in another video, and I would be happy to help you out. Thanks for watching.